Hello, Arcady here. So just the other day, my friend Alex just hit 265 followers on Twitch. So I just wanted to say congratulations, Alex. And to everybody out there, make sure you follow Ultimate Reality. She's a really good streamer, and she's a good friend of mine. So hopefully you guys check out her content. But anyway, on with the show. Hello, Arcady here with my hunter and my pet nuke. So this is my Seven Dwarves of Azeroth video. So I'm dedicating this whole project to my friend Alex, and she's done really well on Twitch, and yeah, she's been kind of like really supportive of me as well. So I support her and she supports me. So that's what close friends do, right? But anyway, yeah. So dwarves in this game are my favorite race. Anyway, sorry about that. I just noticed that World Quest boss was up, and I figured I might as well just jump in and yeah, get the extra resources for killing it. So dwarves have always been my favorite race in World of Warcraft, and I am wearing it's semi-new heritage armor set that's only for dwarves, specifically only for Ironforged dwarves, which are kind of the like the default dwarves that you get in the game. With Battle for Azeroth, they added the Dark Iron dwarves as an allied race, but anyway, only like regular dwarves can wear this armor. So I'm gonna kind of point out why I love dwarves so much, other than the fact that they're badass fighters that like to drink and just hang out with their friends. Because I mean, why wouldn't you love that, right? But one of the things that I love about the dwarf race is this racial called Stoneform. It used to be a little bit better, but it's still pretty damn good. It removes all poison, disease, curse, magic, and bleed effects, and reduces all physical damage taken by 10% for 8 seconds. It's really good against like say warlocks, mages, rogues with their poisons, and you get 10% less damage taken for 8 seconds. So it's a damn good racial, at least in my opinion. It used to be a little better, but in some ways it's better now because it's all physical damage taken instead of just 10% armor. But yeah, so that's the main reason why I love the racials. They also got Explorer, which allows you to gain more archaeological finds, and you can survey faster than normal archaeologists. If you're not an archaeologist, this doesn't do anything for you, but it's still kind of cool. We also get a reduced frost damage taken by 1%, so that's it's not a huge bonus, but it helps a little bit. But one of the things that's really cool is Might of the Mountain. Critical strike damage and healing increased by 2%. So yeah, it's kind of a cool ability. But yeah, so I mean, dwarves have always been my favorite race, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll move on to my second character. This was my first character, my hunter. He was actually my very first, well, my second character technically after my warrior, but he was my very first dwarf character. And I play survival, which I realize isn't like the best spec in the world, but I absolutely love it because I like playing a melee hunter. I mean, not everybody does, but I just love it. But anyway, we'll be moving on to number 2. Number 2 on my list is my dwarf shaman, so I won't be going over his racials because they're exactly the same as my hunter. But I absolutely love my shaman. My Uncle Monty actually got me into the class, and he wanted me to heal, and I didn't really want to heal too badly, but after a while I kind of got used to it. But technically when I'm doing quests and stuff, I'm playing enhancement because I like playing melee, like, you know, like melee specs. So yeah, the shaman is by far my favorite class for healing, but it's also one of my favorite classes for just doing melee DPS as well. And yeah, I highly recommend it. I mean, it's maybe not as strong as it used to be, but I still think it's a damn good class. But as you guys could see, I mean, I could kill things fairly quickly. I mean, it's still a pretty damn good class for like questing and just having some fun. And of course, when I found out that dwarves could be shaman after I came back to the game during Warlords of Draenor, I thought, yeah, I gotta play a dwarf shaman. Like, that's gotta be my race, because I didn't want to play a Draenei, and I didn't want to play a Pandaren. So of course I had to go dwarf. And yeah, all shaman have totems. This is kind of like what they look like for the dwarf. I personally think they're pretty cool because they got kind of like a feather design and I guess kind of a shield, and yeah, I mean, I think it looks sweet, but I mean, it's just me. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to number 3. So number 2, and of course I have to take a quick shout out to my gnome friends. So obviously I've only got one gnome character, and that's my Death Knight, who you see on the screen, Death Lord Scooter. But I just wanted to congratulate Alex again on getting to 265 followers on Twitch. So hopefully get many more, and we'll see you guys all later. So number 3 on my list is my mage. So this is one of my only female dwarf characters. I've actually got 2 of them. So 2 of my dwarves are actually female. Yeah, this is one of the hardest classes for me to play personally, because I am actually really used to playing a melee class, and whenever I play like my mage, my warlock, my priest, I don't do as well. But one thing that I love about the mage, of course, is like all the portals that you get. Like you can, like portal to basically any city in the game, which is very cool. And yeah, so I leveled originally as Arcane, but I've been playing Frost lately because I'm finding it kind of hard to level solo. Maybe it's just me, just not getting used to the mage very much, but yeah, lately I've been playing Frost, so I mean, sue me. And I also like to use this horse here you get for being exalted with the Storm Song the Storm Song faction. Can't remember what it's called. I think it's Storm's Wake. I'd have to check. Yeah, it's Storm's Wake, I think. Yeah, of course I don't see it on her. But anyway, that's my mage. Very fun class. Very fun range class. It's probably by far my favorite of the casters, because I like it more than the priest and I like it more than the warlock. So I might be kind of odd in that way, but I actually really enjoy it. But I'm not like the greatest mage in the world. You won't see me topping charts or anything. But I try hard. And, how many people have a dwarf mage, especially a female dwarf mage? And I named her after my grandmother, Victoria. So, it's, kind kind of a nice thing, I guess, to do in a small way. But anyway, I guess we'll be moving on to number 4. So number 4 on my list is my rogue, Patty, who I actually did like a random name, because originally this character was actually a Pandaren rogue, and I got the name Patty, so I just kept the name, but I race changed to a dwarf later because I wanted to be a dwarf rogue. So as you guys can see, it's my other female dwarf, and with her I decided to go with like the Princess Leia type of hairstyle, because Princess Leia was always like one of my favorite Star Wars characters. But yeah, with the rogue, it's a melee class. You know, you sneak and they can sneak around. So I mean, it's a fun class, but it's not my absolute favorite. But yeah, with the rogue, I like to play subtlety, and it might not be the absolute best spec, but I just love the way it plays. And if you've never seen like how a female dwarf rogue sneaks around, this is how she does it. So this is my rogue. Yeah, I'm sure not very many people have a female dwarf rogue, but I definitely do, and I absolutely love her. And she's like, overall, she's like my 7th favorite character, which is about halfway. So not too bad. I mean, I don't like her as much as my warrior, or my shaman, or my hunter, or my my mage, or my death knight, or my druid. But I still love the rogue anyway. I find it a lot of fun. But yeah, female dwarf rogue. How many people have one? Leave a comment if you do, because I might be one of the few that do. But I guess we'll be moving on to number 5. Or, yeah, number 5, I think. So number 5 on my list is my paladin. So, yeah, I didn't originally play a paladin like for a very long time. So this is like one of my last characters that I got to 110. And I might not get him to 120 for a while, but well, whatever. So the paladin, of course, it's a melee, like melee DPS spec or class. They can also tank. They can also heal. So I mean, they can do basically everything. They're probably one of my favorite classes for tanking after the warrior. So that is one thing I love doing on this guy, is actually tanking. So this is of course the Paladin class hall, if you guys have never seen it before. Yeah, it's kind of a cool place, but I just thought this would be a good place to just run around and just kind of show off my Paladin. He's my 5th dwarf, and yeah, he kind of ranks low on my spectrum of like my favorite classes, but I mean, I still enjoy it. To be fair, I enjoy every class in the game. I mean, some I enjoy more than others, but one thing that I did love is the fact that they actually gave dwarves their own their own mount, like their own paladin mount, and I just think it looks amazing. Like this ram is just so beautiful. So yeah, so this is actually my final dwarf. My last 2 are going to be a bit of a surprise, but they're still technically dwarves, but they're not like what you'd call just like a regular dwarf. But anyway, hopefully you guys have been enjoying this video so far. We'll be right back with number 6. So number 6 on my list is my Dark Iron Dwarf Warrior. So I know technically the Dark Iron are, like a allied race, but technically they're still dwarves, and I just had to make a warrior. So anybody knows me obviously knows that I like my dwarves, and I've always wanted to have like a dwarf warrior, but I ended up like originally making my warrior human, and he's my only human character that I actually have. So yeah, So as soon as the Dark Iron Dwarves came out, I had to make a Dark Iron Dwarf Warrior. And if you, I guess I might as well go over the racials real quick. So they have the Fire Blood racial, which is very similar to the Stone form. It removes all poison, disease, curse, magic, and bleed effects. And instead of reducing the physical damage you take, it increases your primary stat by a number which is, like scales with your level, and additional like whatever amount for each effect removed. Of course, that's based on your level, but it's much more like like more of a DPS racial compared to like the regular dwarf one. And I personally think it's really cool, and I absolutely love it. I'm going to go over Mole Machine later, because that is a really cool racial. But one of the other things that we get is Dungeon Delver. While you're indoors, you move 4% faster. So, I mean, it's not a big deal, but it basically means that you can, like, run around indoors a little bit quicker. So, like say you're in the middle of a dungeon and you can't mount up, at least you can move a little bit faster. So, kind of cool. And Forged in Flames reduces damage taken from physical attacks by 1%. So that's kind of similar to the frost damage thing that regular dwarves get. Kind of cool. In Mass Production, this only really affects you if you're a blacksmith. But it increases your blacksmithing skill by 5 and your blacksmithing speed by 25%. So Dark Iron Dwarves can, like craft like blacksmithing gear like really quickly. So kind of cool. I love the Dark Iron Dwarves. I think they're by far my favorite of the allied races on Alliance. For Horde, it would be the Magar Orcs, personally. But, yeah, of course I'm going to go with the Dark Iron Dwarves. So the Mole Machine racial, one thing that's cool about it is throughout the world you'll find these mole machines, and you can activate them to be able to like travel like wherever. So when you use the Mole Machine racial, you can choose where you want to go. And then let's say I want to go to Ironforge. So I go to Ironforge. Of course we gotta wait for the loading screen. Sorry about this. Shouldn't take too long. So now I'm outside the gates of Ironforge. So it's got a 30-minute cooldown. So you can't use it all the time, but it's damn cool when you want to just like say you want to get to Ironforge really quick. And in case you guys haven't seen the mount, this is the mount that you get when you unlock the Dark Iron Dwarves. So, kind of cool. Core Hound mount. You get to run around on a Core Hound. It's kind of a cool mount anyway. So yeah, traditionally Dark Iron Dwarves were kind of enemies of the Bronzebeard clan and the Wildhammer clan. But they have officially joined the Alliance now, and are an allied race that you can play as if you earn them. In order to earn them, of course, you have to be exalted with the 7th Legion, and you need to complete like the first achievement for the war campaign. Wonder if I can find it real quick. Trying to remember what it's called. Ready for War. That's it. So you need to get all these parts done for the war campaign for for War, plus exalted with the 7th Legion. Then you'll be able to get a quest at the Emissary in Stormwind to be able to recruit Dark Iron Dwarves. So yeah, I know that's kind of, I didn't really have to explain how to get them, but they're kind of cool. They got the fiery beard, and I think they're awesome. So I finally have a Dwarf Warrior after all these years, but of course he's a Dark Iron Dwarf Warrior. He's not very high level. I mean, I'm only like level 41 of him, but I mean, I'll get him there eventually, right? But anyway, we'll move on to my 7th character, and yeah. So my 7th and final dwarf character is my Dark Iron Dwarf Shaman that I named Dark Arcady. So my dwarf character, my dwarf shaman, his name is Arcady, as you guys noticed. Of course, I had to add an extra Y because some jerk had stolen the name Arcady. But with this girl, I actually named her Dark Arcady because she's a Dark Iron Dwarf. So she's only level 20, and all the allied races start at level 20, so I haven't really done much with her yet. But I figured, you know, I really want to have a Dark Iron Dwarf Shaman as well, because I really like my dwarves. And the Shaman is my second favorite class after the Warrior. And since I decided to make a Dwarf Warrior, or Dark Iron Dwarf Warrior, I had to make a Dark Iron Shaman as well. So yeah, this is my seventh Dwarf character technically, if you count the Dark Iron Dwarves, of course. So yeah, I don't really need to go over the racials again because they're exactly the same as my warrior. Of course, I don't have blacksmithing on this girl because I went alchemy, so she doesn't get that bonus to blacksmithing technically, although it's still in the spell book. As you guys can see, mass production. So I mean, I still have it technically, but I mean, you wouldn't really use blacksmithing as a dwarf anyway, so what's the point? Or as a shaman anyway, I should say, not as a dwarf. But I also like to use this black ram, this old PvP black ram for her. I think it looks kind of a cool mount for her. And yeah, and I'm also using like the tier 1 for Molten Core for the transmog because I figured it looks, you know, really good. And of course I'm enhancement. I mean, yeah, I could play elemental, but I don't know. I just like enhancement. I find it way more fun. But yeah, so that's the Dark Iron Dwarves. So what are you guys' favorite races in the game? And are you as crazy as me in having like multiple classes that are all the same race like me? Because I have like 5 dwarves and 2 Dark Iron Dwarves. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.